Joseph Benavidez versus Askar Askarov takes place this weekend on the prelims of UFC 259, Blachowicz versus Adesanya, and I can't wait for this flyweight bout. This is the perfect fight to happen right now in the flyweight division. Joseph Benavidez, the name guy in the division, on a slide right now on a 2-fight losing streak, looking to bounce back against Askar Askarov, the contender on the rise. Will the guard change? I believe it will, and do believe that Askar Askarov is going to go out there and get the job done over Joseph Benavidez, and we'll get to that in a second, but let me just set this one up. Askar Askarov got some momentum right now in the division. Joseph Benavidez on a 2-fight losing streak. Can he get the one over on the older guy? And can we see a change of a look in the flyweight division, which we haven't seen for a while? Because Joseph Benavidez, 36 years of age, he has been in the top of that division for a very, very long time. Very underrated in his career, because I know he's never been able to get the one over on the championship fights that he's needed to go down as an overall great. But he's been around and at the top of that division for a very long time, and he was on a win streak of his own before the Davis and Figueiredo fights. However, it wasn't just a normal 2-fight losing streak. It was a 2-fight losing streak to Davis and Figueiredo, the way those Figueiredo fights happened. And even people talk about the second fight, and I'm going to talk about the second fight in a second, okay? And my voice has raised in pitch now that I've brought up these fights, and that's just a natural reaction that seems to always happen, okay? The second fight with... I'm joking. The second fight with Joseph Benavidez, I can't even lower my voice. It's just the way that I remember the fight going. It's just so brutal. It takes such a place in my mind, and it holds it there. My mind is holding on to this image of Joseph Benavidez basically being legally murdered by Davis and Figueiredo. It was so devastating, and people talk about the second fight, and I'm talking about the second fight right now. But the first fight as well, he got KO'd really badly. One punch, down he goes, follow-up shots as well. It's a lot of damage to take as a 36-year-old in the flyweight division, and you can't really be getting KO'd in the flyweight division because you need your chin. You're going to be getting hit like 40 times a round on average sometimes. Like, that's how it feels at the flyweight division. Everyone's really fast. Everyone's got good reaction time. If you start to lose that with age, things start to get a little bit risky, and again, you've got to have that chin at flyweight because you've got to take a lot of shots on the chin just as a mandatory thing to get through into a win. And I know that Davis and Figueiredo has a different level of power, but that chin is going to be worse now. 36 years of age, Askar Askarov on the come up. I don't see Askar Askarov going out there and chinning Joseph Benavidez and finishing him. He's not really a finisher. He's got a lot of decision wins and a draw as well to Brandon Moreno, which we'll talk about in a second, in his career. I don't think he's going to go out there and TKO Joseph Benavidez, but I just feel like Joseph Benavidez, knowing the losses that he's coming off of and knowing the damage that he's taken in his career, once he gets hit by a couple of clean shots, it's going to change the way he looks in there. He's not going to be the Benavidez that's like, yeah, let's scrap and go out there and throw combination punches with each other. If Askarov tags him a couple of times, the chin's not going to be the same, and I think he's not going to fight the way he normally does, and we saw that even in the rematch against Davis and Figueiredo. He was the hunted in the rematch against Davis and Figueiredo. In the first fight against Figueiredo, he was going after him. He was looking for combination shots. In the second fight, he was like an injured animal, and Figueiredo was just on him. And he killed him, basically. Joseph Benavidez died in that fight. And this is the corpse of Benavidez versus Askar Askarov. And I know that Joseph Benavidez said he's coming back as well, just for one last win, to make it look like he can go out on top. He doesn't want to go out off of that loss to Davis and Figueiredo in a rematch, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to either if I've been around for so long. Same situation that Frankie Edgar's having right now. I feel like he shouldn't retire after this one, because if he does win and Brandon Moreno gets a win over Davis and Figueiredo in the main event of their next fight that's coming up soon, in their rematch that they're having for the belts, I feel like he's got a likely chance to get back towards that belt. Now, they might make the Davis and Figueiredo trilogy with Brandon Moreno just for the sake of it if Benavidez does win this matchup. However, he's got a likely scenario, but if Figueiredo becomes champ again and stays champ after his next fight with Brandon Moreno, there's kind of no chance that Benavidez has to get back towards that belt realistically, because I know that people are asking for the Volkanovski-Holloway fight trilogy, even though that Holloway lost twice. But this is not the normal losses. This cannot be done as a trilogy unless Joseph Benavidez gets found out as a paedophile and it's a punishment. I feel like that's the only way we could possibly see a trilogy here. Looking forward to this one for sure. Great matchup though between the pair of them. I do believe that Askar Askarov's going to get the job done this weekend. I think he's going to go out there, win the fight by decision, win over each round. I think it's going to be a 30-27 unanimous decision to Askar Askarov. I just see a slowing down of Joseph Benavidez, and I saw that in the first fight against Davis and Figueiredo. A lot of people were still picking Benavidez to beat Figueiredo in the rematch. I was like, no way. From what I saw in the first fight, this is not the same Joseph Benavidez. He's going to go out there in the rematch and get completely destroyed and TKO'd, and that's what I predicted, and that's almost what happened. He basically got TKO'd. Even though he got rear naked choked, it was the most brutal rear naked choke you've ever seen. It counts as a finish in some way. He got battered around, dropped so many times, and again, in the flyweight division, you can't be getting dropped like that, man. People are too fast. They have to get hit. You have to get hit in the division, and I think Askarov's going to hit Joseph Benavidez a lot of times, and look, I think Askarov's one of the top guys in this division and is going to be a real contender for that belt. And if I was Deiveson Figueiredo and I get a win over Brandon Moreno in the rematch and Askarov beats Benavidez, I'm looking for Garbrandt, I'm looking for bantamweights. Askarov is a dangerous contender. Went to a draw against Brandon Moreno, and that was when he was younger as well. He's only going to get better, and he's only gotten better since that time as well. Went to a draw with Brandon Moreno. I did not think it was a draw. I think that was a weird decision, and I thought Brandon Moreno clearly won that fight in the second and third round. He dropped him at one point with a head kick as well. Askar Askarov's got a good chin, fought through it, came back, got back in there, landed some good shots, got a lot of takedowns on Moreno, don't get me wrong, but wasn't really able to establish much control time. Askar Askarov's got great grappling, and if this was a striker on the rise, like a Brandon Royval, or even maybe not a Brandon Royval because he's got some power, so maybe I'd still pick him over Benavidez. But if this was an Alex Perez rematch, I know that Benavidez has already beaten him, but imagine that he hasn't, and this is a fresh matchup with Alex Perez and Joseph Benavidez. Just the wrestling of Benavidez, I feel like, is a great way to pick him coming off of those damaging losses, because Benavidez is a great grappler. He can go out there and out-grapple other contenders in the flyweight division. And maybe if it was a guy who maybe we didn't know about his grappling, and he was a big striker and he was coming in, and maybe Benavidez could out-grit him that way and show a hole in his game. But the fact that Askarov is a great striker, but behind that, he has the grappling credentials, and he seems to be able to out-grapple a lot of guys in the division. I mean, don't get me wrong, Moreno was on top for longer, but Askarov got 4 takedowns on Brandon Moreno. That's very, very impressive. You know what I mean? He got a lot of takedowns against Alejandro Pantoja. I actually thought he lost the Pantoja fight live, because I thought Pantoja dropped him, but apparently if you're on one leg, it doesn't count as being dropped. So Askarov didn't get dropped in that fight officially, so they gave the fight to Alejandro Pantoja. It was a close one. Askarov definitely was winning the grappling exchanges there as well, staying out of submissions. I liked his submission defense. He puts a great pace on guys as well. We saw that in the Tim Elliott fight. Elliott was trying to wear down Askar Askarov and eventually get to him in those later rounds. That was very obviously the game plan of Tim Elliott, but Askar Askarov was just like, okay, no, you're not going to wear me down and put the volume on me. I'm just going to keep battering you every single round. So we know from Askar Askarov, he's got a good chin and recovery, he's got a great grappling base, and he can out-grapple other top contenders at flyweight, and he can push a hard pace for 3 rounds, and in the third round have a higher pace than his first 2. I think that covers a lot of bases where you're trying to pick Askarov to win here, okay? I don't see a way he can lose. I think it's a very close fight, very competitive, but I think Askarov's going to edge out each round by just having the natural advantages of the better chin, better recovery. Benavidez is going to shy away from exchanges where Askarov's going to be willing to throw a couple of more and win himself that on the volume, and I think he's going to outland Joseph Benavidez for 3 rounds. I think the grappling will negate each other. No one will be able to take each other down. I think there'll be a lot of scrambles maybe, but no one will ever sink in position and lay on top of someone and control them, I don't believe. And I think this is going to be a stand-up match between the pair of them, and Askarov's just going to outstrike him for 3 rounds and get the job done there. Great matchup though. Looking forward to it. It's the right matchup to make in the flyweight division, but man, Figueiredo murdered Benavidez. It's hard to really imagine him bouncing back from that kind of loss. Like, I know people get dinked on the chin, like Aldo got clipped and down he goes. Not too much damage, but he got clipped and put out for a split second, recovered right away afterwards and got back up. That was like a real career changer. I know it says 2 knockdowns. There was about 4. There was a lot of moments on the ground where it could have been finished as well with elbows. Like, there was so many moments that are going to take away those years off of someone's career. And Joseph Benavidez is already 36 years of age. He's smaller than Askar Askarov by a lot as well. Askarov is a big flyweight for the division. Going to be about 2 inches taller than Joseph Benavidez here. He's got a reach advantage as well with all of the favors and all the things I've said don't even add up enough for you to pick Askarov here. He's got a little bit of a reach advantage that's going to help him out a little bit, and he uses a lot of straight shots, a lot of 1-2s, a lot of great jabs. Saw that against Tim Elliott. I mean, Elliott's forehead was basically a magnet for Askarov's jab throughout that entire fight, and I feel like Joseph Benavidez is going to lose, man. I think it's going to be a bad one. Looking forward to it, though. Going to be a great scrap, I'm sure. Could be a fight of the night, but I don't think so. There's some other great fights that could steal that title, but it's going to be a fun scrap back and forth, I reckon, and a great fight for the flyweight division. And if Askar Askarov wins, I mean, you're looking at title shots, realistically. I mean, he went to a draw with Brandon Moreno, so there's some storyline there if Brandon Moreno takes the belt off Figueiredo next in their rematch. Maybe you could say, now the guy that he also drew to before, he's just avenged a draw against Davison Figueiredo, and now he's got to avenge another draw against Askar Askarov to have his perfect legacy right now at flyweight. Like, there's a lot of good storylines to go on there, plus Askar Askarov is deaf. So that's really cool. That's marketable. I'm sure they can make a couple of YouTube videos about that, talking about how he struggled with that. Like, that's a very promotable thing. The fact that a guy is deaf and making it to the top of the level of mixed martial arts without being point deducted for firing shots after the bell. But he's a very dangerous guy, you know what I mean? And he's made it this way by being deaf. That's a very, very inspirational story, and I think that needs to be told a little bit more. Next fight for Askar Askarov, if it's not going to be a title shot, it should definitely be in some kind of high-profile position on a card, like on a main card of a pay-per-view or a co-main event of a fight night or something like this. I think it's a great time to be a flyweight. There are so many fun matchups even on this card as well. Kai Kara France versus Rodrigo Bontorin. I just think Askarov's going to beat Benavidez pretty impressively over the 3 rounds. I don't see Benavidez getting this one done. A little bit too small, and I think he's kind of lost his touch. He used to have crazy power, remember, when Benavidez used to land on you and lights out? You had the flyweight with the body shots, basically, was what he was, and he's a very dangerous guy, but I feel like that's lost itself a little bit. The power has been diminished a tiny bit, and Askarov's really coming into his own, and I think we're going to see a changing of the guard here. But Benavidez has beaten some good guys. Formiga, also an older guy, Dustin Ortiz. Where is he in the division right now? And if that fight was scored nowadays, who knows? I mean, Ortiz really outlanded him there, but still Benavidez won the grappling exchanges. But Ortiz, where are you right now? That's the situation. Alex Perez, that was an illegal finish. I don't know if you've seen the Alex Perez versus Joseph Benavidez fight, but Benavidez literally, fair enough, got him down. I don't mind that. But rained down punches to the back of Alex Perez's head non-stop for the finish. It was a finish via back of the head strikes, and nothing happened about it. But whatever. I feel like Joseph Benavidez is going to lose this one. I just see him getting dinked too many times, and he's not going to take shots the right way, and he's not going to be willing to scrap with Askarov, which I think you have to be willing to do, like Brandon Moreno and like a Davison Figueiredo as well. I think they're the only 2 guys who can beat Askarov right now. Benavidez ain't going to get it done. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. At least he's got Megan O'Leary, right? That's something, I guess. So he can retire happily on that, but he's going to lose. Goodbye.